Get strong here. You know, balance is life. You torn the shit. Have a little play with that, yeah?
This video might change the way you think about back pain, but we're not doing it in a typical way. So the way we're going to start this is by sending a message to Conor McGregor. Here's what it says. Hey Conor, I know you're incredibly busy and get a lot of messages, so this will only take 60 seconds to read. I'm a doctor in the UK and I'm making a video explaining how kicking like Conor could solve back pain. I'll be exploring the hip mobility that allows you to throw your kicks, and then explaining how that same mobility could be a way to bulletproof your back against pain. Given your experience, would it be possible for you to send a video talking through your favorite hip or back mobility exercises? I totally understand if you're too busy to respond, and even just a 1 or 2 line reply would completely make my day. All the best, Jack. Here we go. It is getting sent. While we wait to see if Conor gets back to me, let me explain why I reached out to him in the first place. What is it about Conor's hip mobility that can help us to understand how hips relate to back pain? And stick around to the end to see if he replies. Let's get into this.
A new review finds the best therapy may not include a pill.
I work in the emergency department, and back pain is one of the most common problems that we see at work. Just like this guy.
Oh my back! Oh my back! Oh my back!
What percentage of people do you think will experience back pain at some point? Maybe half? Actually, it's between 70 and 80% of us. That's 4 out of 5 people. And not just elderly people, but it happens to young people too. And I completely get it. 3 years ago, I pushed myself way too hard at the gym while I was squatting and woke up the next day and I couldn't even get out of bed properly. I had excruciating back pain and I had to slide off the bed without bending my back because it was the only way for me to get up. It took weeks to improve, but I've seen people who have gone months with pain like that, and I want to try my best to help. Here's a quick note. If your back pain is affecting you on a day-to-day basis, if it doesn't improve after treatment for a few weeks, and if it's getting more and more severe over time, you really need to go and see your doctor. That's because in 15% of cases, we can identify an underlying cause that needs to be addressed. But for the 85% of people where there's no structural issue, I started wondering, what else could be causing the pain? I knew back pain was common, but I was shocked to find out how much our hip flexibility influences it. That's when I started exploring how hip mobility and back pain are related to one another. I noticed that when I've been sat down all day, my back was much more painful. But why? Your back looks like this. These are your vertebrae and this is your spinal cord. The muscles surrounding your back can become tight and the joints here can become inflamed. You may think that because the pain comes from here, that's where the problem is. But it turns out the source of the problem isn't always where you feel it. According to research in the Journal of Experimental Orthopedics, people with back pain had about a 10-degree reduction in their ability to extend their hips compared to those without pain. So basically, when your hip flexors are tight, they pull down on your pelvis, causing it to tilt downwards. If your abdominal muscles and hamstrings are weak, they won't be able to counteract that downward force. And we call this an anterior pelvic tilt. And your back then needs to compensate for the movement in your pelvis. The tilt in your pelvis significantly increases the strain on your lower back. When I learned this, I realized how many people could benefit from this information. And then I came across this clip of Conor McGregor talking about stretching.
The same thing with the hip flexors for kicks. If I throw a front kick to your midsection, if I'm tight in the hip and I can't free the leg like I can free my shoulders, like I showed one of many training methods on how to free the shoulders. If I can do that with my hip flexor, I can change the point of impact from the belly and switch it up to the head in a millisecond.
That's when I knew I had to reach out to him. Why is back pain a growing problem? We're becoming tighter and tighter in the hips because of the work we're doing. We're sitting behind a desk all day, staring at a computer screen. Through all of that time, we've got questionable posture. And this is just not the way we were designed to live. We were designed to move.
I have a routine. I wake up, I drink water, I stretch, I shake it out. That's me beginning to free my body again after whatever amount of time I've been asleep.
I wonder if Conor has a secret tip for improving hip extension. I'm still genuinely hopeful that he might respond, but, you know, it's very unlikely, isn't it?
I love competition. I love it. What's in the day?
You can see by this angle that Conor's got very, very good hip extension, bulletproofing his back and stopping him from having that anterior pelvic tilt. But how can we achieve mobility like this? You don't need to wait for Conor to start improving your hip mobility. There are 2 simple stretches that I do every single day to prevent my hip flexors from getting tight. The first is a lunge stretch. It's simple but effective. I lean back and rotate my torso to really open up my hips. It's just like Conor's doing here, except we can use the floor instead of a person to help us push really deep into the stretch. This is one of the stretches that really helped with my back pain when I was suffering from it a few years ago, and now it really helps to open my hips up when I've been sat down all day. It's exactly what Conor's doing here. If you watch Conor train though, hip extension just simply isn't enough to kick as high as he does. Look at this kick. His hip mobility to rotate his hip like that comes from different stretches. And it turns out those stretches can have a significant impact on bulletproofing your spine against back pain as well. Hip rotation plays a pivotal role in back pain. Your hips rotate like this, and we call that internal and external rotation. It's absolutely essential in MMA, not just to throw kicks, but also for submissions in jiu-jitsu. Your hips are designed to rotate, but your lower back really isn't. It's designed for stability. When your hips can't rotate properly, your lower back has to pick up the slack. That's when the trouble starts. It's a recipe for back pain and over time, even for disc degeneration in your spine. To prevent this from happening, I started to incorporate the pigeon pose into my daily stretching routine. It is my absolute favorite stretch.
Like, I mean, not lying down in the center area.
I find it so satisfying when I sit in a pigeon pose for a while. I'll combine that with a 90-90 hip stretch to make sure that I address both internal and external rotation. Conor is always warming up with these stretches, and there's a reason why. Since I started doing this, my kicks have gotten much higher, and there's nothing like nailing a perfect question mark kick. Although mine's not perfect, well, yeah, far from it. While I was throwing the kicks, I had a problem though. My mobility felt great in my hips, but my ability to hold myself in the kicking position was terrible. My hips kept dropping down. And that brings us to our final point. Mobility is essential, but it isn't everything. There's one more piece of the puzzle that we really need. We need to strengthen our legs.
Get strong here. You know, balance is life. So I like to take it back, and you know, I've always worked on balance training. It's very good for martial arts, it's very good for everything. If you're balanced, you're in control. So it's important.
To kick like McGregor and protect your back, you have to strengthen these 3 key areas: your glutes, your hamstrings, and your external rotators. And the best part, you can do all these exercises at home. Firstly, balancing on one leg and dropping down into lots of different positions, just like this, is really helpful for ensuring you have the balance and the strength to hold all of these different positions. Finally, I try and work on lateral squats on most days because it hits both the mobility and the strength side. It's been working really, really well. Back to the message. So, did Conor reply? He's not replied to me yet, but honestly, even without his response, you now have the tools to improve your hip mobility, strengthen your body, and most importantly, bulletproof your back against pain. I really hope this helps with your back pain. And also, if you need to throw a head kick, at any time in your life, now you'll have the mobility to do it. On this channel, I help you to understand your health and to build healthy habits based on that understanding. Subscribe if you like the idea of that. Another thing that might be able to help with your mobility is a massage gun. Find out more about them here.